before we go to the GSTR 3B return, before filing the GSTR 3B return, I have already explained about GSTR 1 return, that is a sales. Today I will just going to explain about GSTR 3B return. Remember, GSTR 3B return is auto-populated. You don't have to take any tension, it's very easy. But only thing what you should know how to compute the GST first. Before filing the GSTR 3B return, you should know how to compute the GST. Okay, this is very important. So system will calculate the GST automatically. System will calculate the GST automatically. But whatever the GST the system will calculate, okay, if there is excess excess input tax is there, it will not be utilized properly. The system will take its own steps to calculate the GST. But if you know to calculate the GST, it is always better because you can change the value there. Okay, so how to calculate the GST now? Here we have created a table here stating this is my output. That is how to prepare this table. I will make one more video and send you how to prepare this, because every month or a quarterly, it depends on when you are filing the return. Suppose you are filing the return every month, then every month you have to prepare this report. Okay, how to prepare this report we will see later on. But I have already done this report here. This is my output, that is a sales data. Assume that GST collection, sales means collection of the data. I collected 60,000, CGST 20,000, SGST 20,000, and during the purchase, GST is already paid to the government. This is the payment which is already paid to the government. This is called ITC, input tax credit. Okay, how to take this input tax credit I will not explain right now. Assume concentrate only on GST calculation. So the formula to calculate GST is output minus input. I will do the same thing here, is equal to output minus input. So this is the easiest calculation of GST. I will drag this. Now see, all these values are positive here. That means what, your output is more. So you are getting the positive value here. Okay, so that means all this is what, payable. And how to pass this entry in tally also I will explain you later on, but just this is the video of doing the calculation of GST only. So this is what, payable. But if you go to the portal, now I have explained you by creating my own report here. So whenever you are filing the GSTR 3B return, remember you are getting this type of table. In this table we have to populate the data. Okay, we have to enter the data in this table. One more, just a minute. Create one more. Insert here. Okay, so we have to create. This is outward supply. Okay, so here on the internet you are getting what, this type of report here. Okay, so this type of table. Now here in this section I'll just give the different color to make out easily. So I'll use this color. This is IGST, CGST, SGST. Okay, now here in this section we have to enter all our output. That is what, 60,000 is my IGST. I'll put it here. So this you have to do while filing what, GSTR 3B return. So 60,000 I'll enter here, then 20,000 is a CGST and 20,000 is SGST. So this is the entire thing I will enter here. This is what, outward supply, that is the sale part. This is entire 1, 2, 3, 4, all these are ITC, that is input tax credit. So here in this case IGST input is what, 30,000. I'll put 30,000 here. This portion is a CGST portion. So CGST 10,000 I'll enter it here, and SGST 10,000 I'll enter it here. See, this is the column. This is entire part is what, IGST part. This entire is a CGST part. So CGST input I entered here, and SGST input I entered here. So here I will do the calculation of the GST. That is what, output minus what, input. Enter. So this is the GST. The same what we have done on top. This is the GST what is payable to the government. Here it is 20,000, 20,000, 10,000. So sorry. So the same value is not entered here because I used the blank cell here. I'll delete that and I'll use this one. Okay, so it's a 10,000 in here also. I'll remove this cell. Instead of that I'll use this cell. Okay, see this value and what we have calculated is the same value. I have calculated is the same value. Okay, let us try this now. So there are actually 5 pattern. You have to remember 5 pattern. I'll remove this now in this section. Okay. So I'll create one column here. So I'll do this one now. So how I'll do this now is equal to output minus input. So you can see here all are negative here. In this, what is the meaning of negative here? When the data shows you the negative part, that means what, we have already paid more tax to the government. So in this case, no GST payable. So no GST payable. Okay, so all are negative here. So in this section, how you will enter? So this part is what this part is your output part. So output, I'll put it here 60,000, then 20,000, and say 20,000 here. And how I will put IGST value, I'll put 70,000 here. Then CGST I'll put 30,000, and this I'll put 30,000. So how we will calculate the GST now? Output minus what? Input. In this case, output minus this input. In this case, output minus this input. Okay, see whatever we have done, and this amount is the same thing, but this is the pattern what you have to upload it on the internet. Okay, that is what, while filing GSTR 3B return. Now let us see the next one, which is very important now. I'll just insert one more here because while preparing the report I didn't do that, so I'll be doing it now. So I'll put it here and this. Okay. Now in this case, I'll do the output minus input now. Say is equal to output minus input. Okay. So you are getting negative here, and then I'll just put this here. So all are negative. Sorry, what I did here. This I have already explained you. Okay. I'll make the changes in the data here. So assume that this is 40,000 and rest is what, negative here. In this case, IGST is positive and CGST, SGST is negative. In this case, remember, if the IGST is positive, you have to pay to the government. You will not be paying what? CGST, SGST to the government. Only IGST payable. Okay. So how I'll enter that in data here to show you. So outward my 40,000, then 20,000, this 20,000. So this is my sale I showed you here. Now in this case I'll put what, 30,000 here. Okay, and here I'll put what, 40,000, and here I'll put 40,000. Okay, see, understood? Okay. So in this case, output minus input. So this is payable 10,000. In this case, it will be negative. In this case, it will be negative. So 10,000 is payable to the government. Okay. Next step. Yeah. This one again, I will just make this. So this is my outward supply. Okay. So in this case now this is very important. Now in this case, remember, assume that this most of the time you will be using this format. So far whatever we have sold, if there is all are positive, output minus input, all are positive, we have to pay everything to the government. All are negative, you don't have to pay the GST to the government. But only if what, IGST is positive and CGST, SGST negative, then IGST will be payable to the government. Now in this case, this report shows that we are not selling the goods outside the state. We are selling the goods within the state. So collection of GST is CGST 50,000, 50,000. And we are purchasing the goods from outside. So we are purchasing the goods from outside the state. That is what 30,000. We are not selling outside the state, but we are purchasing the goods, and some goods we are purchasing from within the state also. Okay, I'll try to make it easier. So I'll assume that this is okay. Let it be. We are purchasing the goods from outside the state, and some part we are also purchasing what within the state. So now what I'll do, output minus input I'll do. This becomes a negative, and I'll just pull this side. Okay, you are getting this positive. In this case, remember, only in case of the IGST is negative and the CGST SGST is positive. Okay, you have to utilize this IGST value in CGST and SGST. You can utilize 50 and 50%. That is what 15,000 here and 15,000 here. So how much GST is payable now? This 40,000 minus what? So, and this is what? 40,000 minus 15,000. So this IGST I am making what? 0. So you will be paying 25,000 CGST and SGST to the government. Remember, when the IGST is negative, and the CGST SGST is positive, then you can utilize the IGST in 50% in CGST and SGST. So it will be payable 25,000. This minus this minus this minus this. Okay. So this is the way you have to utilize. Now how you'll fill this table now? So first I'll put it here. My sale is, so this is 0. This is 50,000, and this is 50,000. Okay. Now here IGST is 30,000. I'll put 30,000 here. So I cannot put 30,000 in because my output is 0. So I cannot adjust it here. First I'll put what? CGST value 10,000 and SGST value 10,000. So in this case, IGST will be adjusted in these two, CGST and SGST. That is 15,000. Sorry, 15,000 and not 15,000 in IGST column. So total IGST, that is 30,000, I am utilizing in CGST and SGST, because this is what? CGST column, and this is SGST column. But I'll put the value in what? IGST column. Okay. How much GST I have to pay now to the government? This minus this minus this. So it is 25,000. This minus this minus this. It is what? 25,000. Same thing what we have done it here. And the last one, I'll take it this part. I'll just try to. This is out. Okay. Now in this case, I'll first explain you here. In this case, there is 90,000 input. Again, the same problem. We are purchasing mostly from outside the state, and some part from we are also selling the goods outside the state. Some part we are selling the goods outside the state. So output minus input. So 80,000 minus here, and this is what? Positive. So what I'll do? I'll utilize this now. This is 80,000. So what I'll do? I'll use out of 80,000, from 80,000 I'll utilize. Here I cannot make 50,000. If I put 40,000 here, then it will exceed this. Understood? No? So this is output minus input. That is what collection is 30,000. Okay, but IGST negative. How much I can maximum utilize in this? 30,000 I will put, and 30,000 here. In this case, this becomes 0 and 0, and here balance of IGST is left. So minus 20,000 is left as a balance that will carry forward to the next month or GST calculation. Okay, so how to use it here now? So very simple. In this case, I cannot utilize 50% in this. So maximum I can utilize what? 30,000 here. Out of 80,000, 30 is utilized here, 30 utilized here, 0 0. So still balance is left. In this case, how I'll do it? So I'll write here 10,000, then 40,000, and say 40,000. So that is this value from top. Here I'll use what I'll use. This is 10,000 because IGST collection, that is negative. We have 80,000. So how much I'll use out of that? 10,000 I'll use it here. So this becomes what? 0. So I utilize because there is IGST output is there from 80,000 negative, that is excess ITC, IGST ITC input tax credit. 10,000 I'll utilize this, and this becomes what? 0 here, output minus 0. Okay, out of that I'll utilize. So how much is left now? 70,000 is left. So 70,000 out of 70,000, how much I'll utilize here? Output is 40,000. So 70,000, so I'll make it 35 here. So 35,000 I'll use it here. Yeah. So in this case, so how much is there? 70,000 is left here. Okay, but I forgot to enter the CGST value here. This 10,000 we have CGST. I'll put CGST here 10,000, and SGST also here I'll put 10,000. Okay, now I will adjust my IGSTs here. So 10,000 I'll put it here, and this becomes a 0. So I'll try to make it easier for you. So this is my output here. So output I have already written, this is output. Okay, and from the input, because I'll not enter the IGST 90,000 here. Okay, so 10,000 CGST and SGST input is there, that I'll enter here 10,000, and this is 10,000. Okay, now how to this 80,000, how will adjust? I'll put 10,000 here, because this IGST I'll make it 0, output minus input becomes 0. 70,000 is left. So how much I can put here? 10,000 is already there here. So we have 40,000 output, and out of 40,000, 10,000 input we already have it. To make it nil, how much we have to, out of 70,000, how much I have to put it here? So I say about 30,000, I'll put 30 and 40, correct? 30,000 I utilize here, this becomes a 0. Again I'll utilize what? 30,000 here, and this becomes a 0. Understood how to make it? So still 60,000 is utilized here, total 70,000 is utilized here. It's 80, 90, so that is not 20 balances left. So this is the way the GST is calculated. So this format is very important compared to all. This is very important. So how I adjusted here? To adjust it, first you put output, all this output here. Okay, so this is the format online. Remember, this is the easiest format what I showed you directly. So here put the output here, and ITC adjustment. First you put what? If the IGST is negative, don't put anything here. First you put how much CGST is there. Input CGST, how much is there? 10,000. SGST input, how much? Now come to the part of IGST calculation, adjustment. IGST, since this output is already there 10,000, out of 80,000, total input we have actually 90,000. Out of 80,000, I'll put 10,000 here. So out of 80,000, I'll put 10,000 here, and this 10,000 input is already there. My output is 40,000. So I'll adjust what? 30,000 balance, I'll put it here, and again 30,000 balance, I'll put it here. So total how much we have out of 80,000? We have utilized out of actually 90,000 it is. Out of 90,000 we have utilized how much? 70,000 we have utilized. So 10,000 is what? Excess of IGST, which will carry forward to the ITC, which will carry forward to the next month for GST calculations. Okay, so this is the way we are calculating the GST. You remember, this is very important for GST calculation.